Hi everyone, I'm Steve Nash.
And I'm Felicia Mezzanotte. Here's our review of Timber Tom. Steve, the tree!
In Timber Tom, players are trying to collect 4 treasures from the peaks of 4 mountains and then returning to base camp. The game comes with a really nice 3D board where you can plant trees and move your hiker around. You'll also get some nice figurines to represent the 4 players and trees which you'll be planting to try and block opponents' path. Each player gets their own board where they can place their starting supplies, axes, chainsaws, radios, and a helicopter card. You also get a deck of cards where players will sometimes draw from to have a special event take place.
To set up the game, each player takes a colored board, fills it up with axes, supplies, radios, and chainsaws, and then places the hiker inside the base camp. The starting player is called the chief player and will start his move first. Let me explain the board and how you'll be moving around and inside it. The yellow area is called the flood area, and if you start a movement there, you'll need to roll the die to see how many spaces you can move. The snow area on top of the mountains is the same thing, and you need to roll the die there too. The other areas on the board have a number on them, and this is how many spaces you must move when starting your movement there. You always have to use up all your movement points. Next to the number, there are trees that represent how many trees you place on the board at the end of your movement. If there are 2 trees showing, you may place 2 trees anywhere on the board that also have tree symbols. The shacks can replenish your axes, and the ones with barrels replenish your supplies. You will also find helipads which can bring you to another helipad, or radio hotspots which can call the helicopter to bring you to any shack on the mountain.
Let me explain some of the cards you have on your player board. The axes are used to cut down a tree which is in your way. The chainsaw is used to cut down 2 trees that are in your way. The helicopter allows you to move from one helipad to another, and the radio moves you from one hotspot to a shack on that mountain. Cards are drawn from the deck when you land on a flooded area, or when you land on a hotspot, but did not use your radio. These cards have special events that happen which can make you find axes, lose supplies, move backwards, and affect helicopters and area types. If you draw a card with trees on it, you get to plant that many trees as well. If you are in a shack when something bad happens, you are protected.
So basically, players are trying to reach to the top of each mountain to collect the treasure and bring it back to base camp. You must use up a supply when entering a snow area. If you don't have one, you can't go and you must go replenish. If you want to cross a river, you must use a supply to use a canoe.
So it's a race to base camp towards the end of the game, but if the chief player reaches base camp first, all of the players have 1 extra turn to reach it as well, and tie the chief. The bad thing about this game is that you have way too much axes, radios, and chainsaws. If you end up using them all, you have a shack almost 1 movement away from you, so you're always well supplied and trees don't really get in your way. The game doesn't come with enough trees to really have fun towards the end of the game, and the board is always the same, so experienced players know exactly what to do first and how to go about getting the 4 treasures really quickly. Now for the productions part of the game, it's excellent. The board is amazing and the pieces are really nice. They even give you extra pieces in case you lose some, which I think all games should do. It's an okay game but doesn't have much replay value. It's great as a family game and younger players will enjoy it more. I'm giving it a 7 on 10.
It's a plain racing game, and I agree. Way too many shacks, helipads, radio spots, and not enough trees. There's no real challenge when it comes to trees, just cut them down. The production is nice, and if someone gets mad and flips over the board, just flip it back. I'm giving it a 7 on 10 as well. It's a good family game.